Okay, guys, what's happening? Jay here, SmartHelping.com. It's 10:05 a.m. on a Tuesday. We are modeling, building a financial model for the cruise ship or boat tour, yacht tour business. I started this last week, and we got all of the ticketing revenue logic built in, all the onboard purchases revenue. Today, we're going to try to translate this over to the monthly detail tab, which is over here, and we'll get all this section filled out. Um, Also, I wanted to do the turnover cost logic too before we get into that. So we'll do that, get into the monthly detail. Before I get started, remember the cruise ship model, it's a startup or industry specific model, so it will be put in the startups tab in the startups bundle here. In the cruise, it'll still be in the C's once it's done. I'll probably charge $45 for this template, and it's a really great forecasting tool. Remember, you can get all the models for $2.99 if you want to buy them in bundle, or you can buy them individually for $2.99. That gives you lifetime access. You pay once, you access forever. So if I add templates to this bundle in the future or update templates and you've bought this, you get all of that at no extra charge. Anything I ever do in the future. And same goes for the all bundle or all models bundle on the whole site. You can buy everything I've ever built for $9.99. So check that out. Tons of value there. And I'm going to continue on building. So if we go here, let's send our link out to Twitter and get started with the model. Our link out to Twitter and get started with the model. All right. So join on in. Now, we need to add this cost to do a turnover. So every time, so you're doing a cruise, let's say before you onboard, there's going to be costs to get everybody parked. You might have to hire security or whatever it takes. And this, every time you do a cruise, you have an onboard and an offboard cost that you can account for. And so that's got to be dynamic. It's got to be based on the cruise counts. So what we're going to do now, that's going to be in the cost section. Now on the onboard purchases, so this is a revenue stream, but I wanted to put the related cost directly in with this so you can kind of see when you're building out each um, the configuration for each of these types of revenue streams. You can put in your expected margins or costs for each one right side by side, so it's easier to do like that. But for this, for turnovers, we really just need to know the number of cruises happening per month, and then we just put in um, it'll be a simple entry. So on other costs here, we did add average food costs. We did add mileage as a variable cost here. We'll have to build all this logic, but it's ready. And then you've got all your other OpEx. So you could, if you just know like the average annual amount spent on turnover, you could just break that into a monthly amount and put it here and it'll just populate. But if you want to really get specific with the seasonality and everything, we can do it down here. And again, this could be zeroed out, but you could put in here onboarding, offloading costs, and we could say for onboarding, total costs for onboarding, total costs offloading. Now, if you're already don't double count here. And obviously I'll explain this on the overview video. But these are just things that are, if you're already accounting for them elsewhere, then don't also put it here. But if you haven't and you want to say, well, there's costs related to onboarding and offloading that I haven't accounted for anywhere else in the model. So then you put in here, each year you can define what's my, every time I do an onboard, let's say it costs $25,000. So you'll do the number of cruises per month times that, and that's your cost. So pretty simple, but the logic does need to be in here to account for that. And let's say every offload is 15,000 or maybe 10,000 in total. So you multiply the number of cruises per month times this as well, because there's offload, onload, and those costs could be different for each. So we have two, we have to have two slots here, not just one. All right. So that was simple enough to configure. All right, so we got a number of cruises. We got all this stuff. Let's get into the how we're going to actually display this. So what I want to put at the top, well, we have our development acquisition costs up here, and this logic is already built in, and we've got a lot of things wrapped around this in for how the income statement's going to populate and everything else. So we're going to try to keep that positioning fine, but for revenues, we are completely free to build this however we want. So we're going to put in here revenue detail. And this first thing we want is number of cruises per month. And that is simply going to be an index, and we just pull in our ticket revenue column E and just match that to the month, which I believe is like E3 or E4 actually, I think. So we can match E4. Actually, let's just go with the month number. Less errors can happen there. So let's go, I think, I don't know what that is, E3 maybe, against the month number. And that just pulls in, so it's this one. We got a reference error. Let's see what happened. And with financial modeling, yes, a lot of it is knowing what Excel is capable of and knowing the formulas and everything. But that's only half the battle. The other half is understanding the finance of things, how to make things built so it's not double counted, how it's self-correct or self-error checking, um, and how you're displaying information so that it's generally readable and decipherable of what's going on. So there's all kinds of aspects to building a financial model, and you got to put everything together to get something that is useful to somebody. All right, why do I have an error? So I'm indexing column E, match C3 with ticket revenue D. Now to me that seems fine. Why am I getting a reference error? Do not know. Let's think about this. All right, we'll just double check here. So index ticket revenue E, ticket revenue E, ticket revenue D. It's almost like it's trying to reference something that's not there, but it should be. Let's just, honestly, these are fun times. Let's do the same thing. Maybe we just, I don't know. So let's do E, if match E2 to month. Okay, well, NA is better than a reference error. Let's put this back to here. A reference error. Now this is strange. Did Excel change something in how the index formula works? Invalid cell reference. These are the same, it's just this has the dollar sign. Alright, well, we got a conundrum here. Just want to make sure these are the exact same. Yeah, these are the same. And that's how you do it. I mean, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and that's how you do the index formula. Let's look at another one. I believe on the balance sheet annual, I have index formulas. Yeah, so that's working fine. Index. And these are the things. Sometimes just there's errors with things, and we got to figure it out. All right, so we don't need this second calculation. I could do a VLOOKUP, but I don't want to. A VLOOKUP's tough because if we want to change, if somebody wants to change the columns, add a column over here for some other reason, then if this is not exactly the distance from the month number that we're referencing, then the VLOOKUP's going to have an error. But if we use index, then no matter where column E is, it's always going to be matched to column D. So you could add columns in between here, whatever, it doesn't matter, it'll still give you the correct answer. And that's why I've switched a few years back to making everything have index formulas that references assumption configurations. And it's been going fine, but now we have this error. All right, let's try this. So we have a 1 here. Let's try to index this on the same tab. So index here. We don't care about the row. We want to match the... Oh, wait. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. See, sometimes you just got to look at it a little bit differently. So we're referencing the row, not the column. So what that means is I don't need this comma here. And that's all I had to do is delete that comma. And now it should be working. Yep, there you go. So August is the first one. There's 1 and then 2. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you can see here 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's pulling that data. Great. Okay, and we want to use our fancy formatting with the little dash. All right, so a little sidetrack there, but now you got a little bit more insight into the index formula. We had searched for columns, but we needed to be searching for rows because we were going down, not across. Normally I go across and I'm returning data based on the data going like this, but that was the data going like that, and that's not, I'm not as used to that, so that's why I had that little hiccup. All right, for these here, now all these I want formatted custom. Oh wait, well let's just, these can be accounting with a dash too, okay. And that's the same. So we have number of cruises per month. What do we want to see next? The days we don't really care about for revenue. Distance we don't care about, that's going to be a gas cost. Tickets sold. Average tickets sold per cruise. So in a given month, based on here's how many cruises you're going to have, and you could put how many tickets you think you're going to sell in each of those cruises on average. And remember, we did a weighted average calculator here. So you could put the count of different cruise types that you're having and the price, and then that'll give you the weighted average here. So like this is to figure out what should I put into ticket price 1 here. Well, you would look at in a given month how many cruises are of the different types you have, which these could be anything, it's arbitrary, but you just want to know the number of types of cruises in a given month at each price, and then this will give you the weighted average here. So that's a helper calc, but we don't actually need that for this data point. Right now we're just looking at number of cruises, and then we want number of tickets sold per month. And then that was what column? J. Okay. So tickets sold per month is going to be this number times, and we can do this here, it's fine, times the number of cruises. And then now, once we have that, we can get total let's just format this down. We're going to put number of cruises, tickets sold, and then ticket revenue. Now for ticket revenue, we want to do an index match, not just an, well, it's going to be in a double match. So what we have to figure out here, so we've got 10 different potential ticket prices. So we need to break down the total tickets sold in a month by the percentage of tickets that were made up of each ticket price. So we have this times the cruise count, that's fine. Then we need to do the percentage to figure out the amount of tickets in each one, and then we can multiply that by the actual price per ticket. Okay, so this is going to be a bit long here, but it's fine. So ticket revenue is going to be its own sub detail. Let's just give this a general format. Now we could put here, because this is, you might want to change the names of these. So we'll reference, I'll make these blue so you could tell. So these can be changed to say whatever you want to call them. And then this will reference that. Okay. Oh, we have the logic here. Actually, we don't want to double count the logic. What we would do then is we can do index formulas on column AE to AN, and then multiply each one. So this should add up to 5,000. Does, and you'd multiply each one by the count, cruise count in E. Okay, so that makes sense. So we go, because we don't want to do extra work for no reason. If it's already done. What you don't want to do is try to put too much calculations into one row, and then you don't really know how that row is populated. You want to be able to call out the information. O, P, Q. Oh, so ticket revenue. First things first, we're going to do this in two parts. One, number of tickets sold by type, and then total tickets sold, and then revenue. This will be ticket revenue by type. Oh, we don't need this. Okay, so we'll calculate the total number of tickets is going to be, let's bring this index formula down. We're going to pull in, I believe it was column AE. And here we just, and let's double check that. Yeah, AE over to AN. So we put that in AE, AF, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M and N. All right, so this should show me the total tickets sold, and then we want to multiply this by not C20, but by C18. And we'll actually add that to each of these. So Control C, and then copy that down. Now I could have done an index match if I put labels, but the problem with doing an index match is, again, you're really reliant on the position. For example, I'll show you in 1 second. If I did index match here, I wouldn't have had to manually put in the rows or the columns. Like I could have put the ticket type up top and then the month here, and I just do an index match that looks up. It'll do this grid, and it will return the ticket price and the month number. Now, these are the same. Actually, no, it, it would involve multiple calculations. I'd have to look up this one times this number times the cruise. It would be it's harder to figure that out and do that, and it's more prone to error than just manually referencing each index column. That way, if anything changes, rows change, is fine. It'll all be fine. So now, if I scroll over, this should equal 5,000. This should equal 10. Okay, and that's your error check here. So the total tickets sold should equal the total tickets by ticket type, or else you've broken a formula or something happened. Total tickets sold, check against row 19. Okay. So that should always equal this. If it doesn't, it means, the one way it might not, and it could be okay, is if you don't add these all up to 100 for whatever reason, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if you're selling this many tickets, then you have to put what percentage makes up each type. Otherwise, you would just change the total ticket count. All right, let's drag all this over. These calculations are solid. I'm going to group these as well so we can hide extra detail that we might not want to see all at once. Okay. There's that. Now, so we have tickets sold by type. Now we want ticket revenue by type. And I can just re-reference that. And then here is our first top line revenue figure. And we're going to do all the revenue items first. Now, for this calculation, I simply take the total tickets sold times the price. Now, one thing that's tricky here is, do we want to account for... Well, actually, no. This is perfect. Because I do this by monthly cohorts, you can account for inflation on the ticket price, because there's on, let's say, the staffing, you can account for a yearly increase in salaries, outsourcing costs, as well as, expense increases over time, and that automatically applies to this. these are hard coded. This is hard coded as well, and this. Um, but lost my train of thought. Oh, but this you can actually. There's no reason to put in a percentage. You could just say if you had starting prices here, and then you want to increase it by, every year increase it by 2% or whatever. You can just manually put in that logic, on the 12th month and raise the prices over time and just account for that rate in here. So there's no need to try to do some kind of auto inflation calculation for these. All right, so what we need to do though is we need to now pull column U to AD and multiply it by this. Now what I could do is I could do another calculation over to the side here saying uh, ticket revenue, and we could just say this times that, and then let me just double check this is already calculated in the count. Oh, no, it is not. So for revenue, I do that times the cruise count. And this could maybe this would be just a way to double check so you're getting the correct monthly total revenue. Make this a little bit wider. Now we want this custom with a dollar sign. Okay, in theory, then this total should match my monthly total. And I could just index this, but again, I wanted to show on the monthly detail. So when you're reviewing this, you can see on this detail, what are you selling per type here? And then what's your ticket price or ticket revenue based on the different ticket prices. So it'll be this times whatever the price is per ticket. Because remember, this is already taken into account the cruise count. So total tickets sold per month times weighted average gives you the revenue. So what I want to do is another index. It's going to be very similar to this calculation, but we're just moving, instead of multiplying by the cruises, now I'm multiplying by this. That is not locked. And then we could drag this down. And this is going to be a dollar sign. So is this. Man, I tell you what, I love doing this stuff. But I'm not being sarcastic. The fact that this is what I get to do, it's really cool. Love building. It's nice to see everything come together. You got to be diligent on each piece. It just all flows together. It's really fun. All right, now so this is like a check, a bit of a check, just to confirm. I need to pull U to AD. And remember, we've already taken into account the percentage of each ticket sold by pulling this, but now I need to pull the prices. So U to AD. All right, I'll go U, T, U, V, W, X. And I'll show you a bit of a check we can do on these just to make sure I didn't miss a letter. A, B, S, T, U, what am I on? S, T, S, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. and then you start over at AA, AB, C, and D. Okay, and 4187, 8375. Let's check that. 4187, 8375. Okay, that matches 12562 in month 12. Perfect. Okay, so it looks like we're getting the correct numbers. Now to check, what I would do is just do like make the ticket price 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is okay. Drag this down. So I should see a different number in every slot. Yeah. And that's why I just want to make sure that that is reflected. And that'll tell me I pulled the right numbers. Now for this, oh, the percentage. We also want the percentages to be different. So let's say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now this is very important because if you get this wrong and you didn't realize it, it's really hard to go back and check to see if you did it right. We'll make sure this adds up to 100. Oh, we gotta add 5, so 19. Okay, so now if we go back to the monthly detail, 253, 354, 455, 950. Okay, good. So these all look correct. 256,016. All right, and then if we just do STU, V, W, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. Perfect. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. And this is when you start to get paid higher rates, 165 is mine, but like around the hundreds, 200, $300 an hour. One of the things that you're relied upon is that it's accurate. What you are doing should be accurate. And that just means you got to be diligent. So there's my diligence. We've checked it. It is working. We can also double check this totals. 938,032 should be the same as this. Yep, perfect. Okay, so we have ticket revenue by month, and you could adjust these assumptions by month. That allows you to account for seasonality, changes in pricing over time, changes in the distance over time, which will affect costs. Um, all this stuff is adjustable, changing who's buying how many tickets, the ticket price change, all this stuff is all great and dynamic and working. So if we go back here, we now have our total ticket revenue. So this is top line monthly revenue. And what will be really important is you're going to look at, after we had expenses and all of that, you're going to see, well, how does, and after you pay back any debt, you're going to look at how does my cash flow look relative to the initial investment, which is this initial CapEx. And that's kind of the point of this is, okay, what's it cost me? What am I going to make back? When? What's the IRR? We have the formal financial statement, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow that will all be connected to this as well. So this is how we do it here. All right, so ticket revenues. Let's make this bold. So we have this. Now, if I were to hide these, you can see just the top line. Costs, revenues. Now we have the OPEX. We also have all these onboard purchases we need to do. So revenue details, these are tickets. We now have, and we don't want to put the costs in with these other onboard purchases. We want to keep them separate. So all revenue items will be listed, and then these costs will be as part of the OPEX. And we'll reference that correctly through the financial statements. So this is onboard purchases, and the first, let's just list them out. So we have alcohol, we have gambling, we have spa treatment, we have art jewelry auctions, we have shore excursions. I believe that's it. Okay, so G L N P U. Give these a little indent. Wait, what happened with this? Are these double indented? Okay. Onboard purchases, alcohol revenue. So how do we calculate that? Well, index. And we could put in here, let's see, how granular are we getting? Percent of passenger purchase alcohol, alcohol spend on average per person. So we want, we want to index J, no, H, and then we'll bring in K for the cost. But for now, we're just doing the revenue of this. So we want column H, and we're matching the row number. I think it was E3 or something. We'll see with this. And then I multiply that by %20 of the total tickets sold. Now, some cruises, kids are free, so, and they're obviously not consuming alcohol, um, but they might be going on excursions. What I'm trying to think about is how do we define what a ticket represents? Is this a single passenger, or is this just a ticket that potentially represents multiple people? And it would really only be relevant like if you had two kids that got on the cruise for free because they're under a certain age, but then those two kids had to pay for seats to go on excursions, or which could be to water parks or what have you, and it would be 80% of the tickets sold. So this percentage here is important, what we base it on. I believe you can look at your data and say, well, I sell X amount of tickets, and what percentage of those tickets purchased, this count of 5,000, how many of those, what of those purchase, let's say, alcohol? So if it's 20%, then it'd be 20% of that number, and so on. So I think that's how we do it. We keep it like this. We reference the percentage times the total tickets sold, and that's the number we use. And I think that's the correct way to model it. And you would just look at your data again, and this would be based on, let's say you sold 5,000 tickets, and usually you're looking at your alcohol the people who buy alcohol relative to the total tickets. So let's say a 5,000 ticket cruise, 1,000 of those people buy alcohol. You have 1,000 people buying alcohol when you sell 5,000 tickets is the correct wording. So that's how you would think about that assumption. Now we have the average price per passenger here. We would multiply this by the total tickets sold. All right, so there's that, 1,000,000, but only a certain percentage. So we go another index formula here. And then we take the percentage of people that do buy alcohol, so column G. So we're doing H times G times total tickets, well, basically times F times E is what's happening. And we could check that calculation as well. Oh, what did I say? What was the percentage? Column G. Okay. And C19 should be locked because I can use this for all these onboard purchases. Okay, so 200,000, that makes sense. Now for this one, for casino gambling, let's see, how do we set this up? Average gambler's loss per cruise. So this is a revenue for the cruise ship. So M, and then the amount of people doing it in L. So M and L for this one. M, L, and again, we can check this. So let's look at month one. 200,000 and 75,000. So if we go over here for alcohol for month one, we have $200 per person times 20% times this. 200,000. Now if we go down one, we're at 800,000. Now this is for, do we miss some? Oh, hold on. We do have an issue. So this index went to E. I forgot to move this over. So this has to be 1. So that's why you do these checks. There we go. So 2, 4, wait, what did I say it was? 800. Hold on. What are we missing? This is 10,000 times 20%. So that's 2,000. We're on month 9. This is month 9. 10. 2 cruises. Oh, wait. Yeah, we did the F times E for the number. So $200 times 20%. H and G. Double check. This is H and G. H and G. We're multiplying by this, which is the total count 10,000. So why am I getting 400,000 here? 10,000 times 20% times 200 is 4. Now what am I getting here? This 10,000 is per cruise. Let me go back. Let's go back to the original assumptions. No, okay. I see what I did here. So this is already calculating the total. This is total tickets. Total tickets sold per month because I'm doing J times E. So I'm doing this times this. So this is already, okay, that makes sense. So this, when I do this check, column F does not need to be in here. It's just, well, column F, but column E doesn't need to be in there. So we just do the 10,000. So there's 400,000 there. This one, it didn't matter because the number of cruises was 1, but technically I don't need that. Okay, and then let's check one more down. 200,000 for month 10. Yep. Okay, so that's good. Now this one, let's make sure this is right. So we got to move this back over. Very important that we checked that. So then this is doing L and M times the total tickets sold. 75, 150. So if we check that calc, we do this times 10% times total. It was 75. And then the next one was 150, I believe. Okay, so that's good. Drag these over. Now we will have to put in logic to stop revenues on the forecast stop month, which is defined on the global control rate here. Whatever month it stops up to 10 years, that would stop all revenue. All right, so we're not going to get down to cash flow today. But we're gonna get down to at least all of these revenue items will be in, which is good. And then tomorrow we'll try to finish all the rest. All right, so let's do these last three. So for spa treatments, what did I do on this? Percentage and average spend. Okay, so just N and O. And there's no direct cost there. If you have a spa team, that would just be part of your staffing cost that you'd put in, or contractors. So N and O for this. Times that. Why are you giving me a little... Oh, probably because I didn't update these. So art and jewelry. What are we doing on this? P times Q. Okay. So P times Q. And then shore excursions is just, looks like the same logic. V and U. Now on the shore excursions, it allows you to account for a direct cost for that. So what that would look like is if it's for, let's say you have to pay the travel, the buses or something, and so you're collecting money, but then you're paying the buses to do the deal. Um, or there could be something happening here where you as a cruise collect $250 for the ticket for the excursion. You have to pay, like, to say that if it's bus drivers or whatever, some margin. Now if you don't have to pay anything and your costs for to help people go on these excursions are accounted for elsewhere, or there are none, you just put 100% here, and then your revenue is that there's no cost related. And then I just want to make sure anything I have that's a division, I don't think there is any actually, should have an if error, but yeah, these are all multiplication or subtraction. So these are, okay, that's fine. Okay, so 75 million. This looks good. We'll test it out. So for this times 12. So million, 2 million for this one. 1, 2, and the other one is 75, 150. For art jewelry. Perfect. Okay. And then we have here, so total ticket revenue, and then we have total onboard purchase revenue. Oh, that should only be including these. And what you will want to see is the percentage of the total of each and see what that looks like. So what we'll do is we now have, I believe, total revenue, all revenue sources. So we can make this a top and double bottom, darker amount. And that's equal to this plus this. And then what you want to do is percentage of total. And this is going to be if error total divided by the total revenue. All right, and we'll give this a little italicize the percentage, format it up. So here, 74% is that. Give this another space. And 26%. Okay. Ticket revenue, onboard purchase revenue. Let's make this percentage a little bit smaller font, maybe 9. Okay, and then total revenue. So that's good. So we got that. Next, we'll have to layer in the costs here for all these online, if there were a cost component. And then we'll continue on with getting the model complete. I think we might be able to complete it tomorrow if it goes smoothly. Remember, you guys can check out more at smarthelping.com. Again, the template I'm working on now will be part of the industry-specific startup models bundle, which is the startups tab at the top. I'll put that in here when I'm complete, and you'll be able to download it. It'll be $45 one-time fee. And you can also buy the whole bundle of all startup models, which all have their own specific logic for different businesses and industries. And you pay once, access the templates forever, meaning if I update them in the future, you get them and no extra charge. You can actually buy everything I've ever built on the site for $9.99, and I've done all kinds of stuff in all different industries. So lots and lots of financial modeling logic here. If you're learning finance, getting into finance, this is the place to be. Or if you're just a startup that needs a forecast that's already professionally formatted and ready to drop in your assumptions, this is also the place to be. All right. See you guys tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.